Okay. Shh. The Rebbe's Maamar Vater Tetzaveh. We're in middle of Eis Gimel. 6 lines in the end of the paragraph. Okay, now the Rebbe asked a bunch of questions. Why does it say you command instead of the normal thing, Tzavos B'nai Yisrael? Also, why? And he says not only a question, it's a question in the whole concept of it. And also, why do they bring Moshe Rabbeinu the oil if the kindling was through Aaron? Also, it should say Kasis Lahoir, not Lamoyer. And then it says out of Abek, and then it says Tamid. So what is it? So he starts explaining the role of Moshe Rabbeinu is to bind. Class is sponsored by Avram Aradian for the 4 Shlema and all good things. Okay, anyway, so he starts explaining that Moshe Rabbeinu is the head, the Yidden are the foot. The foot adds to Moshe Rabbeinu, just like the head wants to go somewhere, the foot is the thing that takes it. That means that through Moshe Rabbeinu connecting the Jews to Hashem, the Moshe Rabbeinu becomes greater. So he starts explaining that's what it says in Zeyirai Mehemna. There's 2 interpretations. One is faithful shepherd and the shepherd of faith, which means every Jew has a munah, but it's not permeating, it doesn't penetrate the Jew, it's superficial. And then he says like this, after he explains that Moshe Rabbeinu, by the way, and he says it's not only Moshe Rabbeinu, but Moshe Rabbeinu of every generation does the same thing like Mordechai did. 6 times in the end of the paragraph of Eis Gimel. After he explains Moshe Rabbeinu and the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation strengthen the amun of the Yidden, then he explains the diuk. Why it says Kosas Lamo'ed and not Laho'id. Why doesn't it say to shine instead of more, which means the source? He says, Shebizman HaGolus, what the pasuk means, that in the time of Golus, Shakol Echad Ve'echad Nishper V'Nirkad, every Jew is broken and depressed. Kosas, which means they're squeezed, they're pressed. Aidei Zamagim L'Mordo Etzim. Then through this you reach the level of the essence, which is the source of Ord. Meaning he says like this, he explains in the Maamar that through Kosis, through this that the Jews are oppressed, meaning through the level of Golus, just like an olive. In order to get the oil, which is better than the olive, you need to torture it. The same thing by Jews being tortured in Golus, Kosis, then you come not only to the revelation of Ord, but you get to the source of Ord. So we need to understand what's the connection between Kosas Lamoed. So he says like this, Moshe Rabbeinu of every generation binds the Yidden to Hashem. Through this Moshe Rabbeinu becomes greater. And then he says by being oppressed in the time of Golus, you reach more. What's the connection between the two? This prepared Kosas Lamoed. We need to understand the connection between Kosas Lamoed, that through being oppressed, you come to the source, the Fnezah, to what he explained before. The Moshe Rabbeinu and the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation. What's the connection between the 2 aspects of Moshe Rabbeinu binding the Jews to Hashem, and also by being tortured, then you come to more? It's in the same pasuk. What's the connection between the 2? Okay, so he says now in Dalid, Habir b'pasuk Vater Tetzaveh. This that the Frierdiker Rebbe explains in the Maamar, the whole concept of Vater Tetzaveh, because the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maamar begins with V'kibala Yehudim es asher chelu lasis. The Eden accepted willingly what they began at Matan Torah. The page V'kibala Yehudim es asher chelu lasis. The explanation of that is Shekiblu Mashe Chelu Bizman de Matan Torah. The Jews accepted what they began at Matan Torah. Like the Gemara said, we learned this. That the Gemara says by Matan Torah they accepted forcibly, and in Purim they accepted firmly in a willing way. They were willing to do it. Matan Torah was only the beginning. In the time of Gzeirus Haman, then they accepted willingly the Kibbul al Yehudim. Like it says, Aderech Maamar Azal. Like the Gemara says on the pasuk, Kimu v'kiblu al Yehudim, Kimu mashi kiblu kvar. They accepted what they were already given. Meaning, Dezer shegdimu nasa l'nishma. But Matan Torah reisa raka Kabbalah. And he says, by Matan Torah, they only accepted Yiddishkeit. But b'mei Achashverosh, Kimu mashi kiblu. Basically means like this. Purim finalized Matan Torah. Matan Torah, they accepted the Torah, even though they said Nasa v'nishma. When did they start willingly doing Torah mitzvahs? That's by Purim. Because if you're forced to do something, then it's not really you doing it. You're forced to do it. Somebody else is making you do it. So by Matan Torah, they had the acceptance of Torah. When did they actually begin keeping Torah because they wanted to keep Torah willingly? That was in the days of Purim. Okay. Yeah, it was a lot. So he says, the question is, if he asks a question, Friedrich Rebbe asks a question in the Maamar, it's a wondrous thing. In other words, Pella means it doesn't even make sense in non-logic. He says, so basically he said like this, Matan Torah was only the beginning, and the finalization of Matan Torah was Purim. So the Rebbe is going to answer, that doesn't make sense. Why? The Matan Torah Yisrael betachas ho'ili. The Yidden were on the highest possible level of Matan Torah. They came out of Mitzrayim, they were a newborn nation. They prepared themselves 49 days for the Omer. They were mamish on the loftiest levels. They had revelation, they had the Makis, they had Kriyas Yamsuf, they had ultimate levels of revelations. The Neis of Lazet. There were very lofty revelations. The Gilui Yitzias Mitzrayim, Kriyas Yamsuf, and then the Gilui of Matan Torah was even a greater Gilui. So the Rebbe is asking this. In the time of Matan Torah, the Jews were on the loftiest levels. Bizman Achashverosh, yet in the days of Achashverosh Purim time, they are betachas yerida. They were the ultimate low level. They were supposed to be wiped out, both physically and spiritually. They were on a very low level. In addition to the general concealment of godliness that every golus has, the whole golus udugmas golus Mitzrayim, every golus is similar to golus Mitzrayim. And just say by golus Mitzrayim, it says they didn't listen to Moshe Rabbeinu because of their hard work and everything else. While that is a golus. Kamen is yeshin and ganin is yein became a Torah mitzvahs. He says every golus is a concealment, but he says hine oz bizman gzeirus haman hayahelim ester Yosef. It was the lowest of lows because there was never in history a decree that every single Jew should be wiped out. Every single Jew around the world. And Achashverosh ruled the world, and the Gzeira, 127 countries, and the Gzeira was lahashmid l'adabitz kol hayudim, men, women, and children, in every possible generation. He says, so l'chayra like this, Matan Torah, the Jews were on the highest of levels. Purim, the Jews were on the lowest of the lowest possible level. Yet, Afal Pikain, Bisman, Matan Torah, Ksho Yisrael B'tachas Ha'ilui, by Matan Torah, when the Jews were on the lofty level, they only began doing it, unwillingly, so to speak. Yet, Bisman, Ksho Yisrael B'tachas Ha'shiflus, and yet, in the time of Haman, when the Jews were on the lowest of low, he says it doesn't make sense. In other words, Purim is the culmination and the finalization, so to speak, of Matan Torah. So Matan Torah only began doing it or forcibly did it, and now Purim they willingly accepted it. So the question is, it's a Dvar Pella, Because when the Yidden on the highest of levels was only the beginning, and when they're on the lowest of low, they ultimately accepted it. And the Rebbe explains in the Maamar, so why is Purim greater than Matan Torah? That's what it comes out. Purim is much greater than Matan Torah. How could that be? He says because the uniqueness of Gzeira in the time of Achashverosh was Hayakim HaTorah Mitzvah Shlehem B'Mesiras Nefesh. It was Mesiras Nefesh. By Matan Torah, there was no need of Mesiras Nefesh. There was no self-sacrifice. They came out, they accepted the Torah. Nobody fought them, nobody was fighting them, nobody did anything to stop them. The Neis of Lahem, Shem Mahoyu La Mesiras Nefesh Chas V'Sholem. They had Mesiras Nefesh not to deny the existence of Hashem. Like the Alter Rebbe says, Shebim Hoyu Mamirim Dosan. If the Yidden, God forbid, in the days of Purim, would have given up their religion, nobody would have done anything to them. Why? The Gzeira, the decree of Haman, was only on Yehudim. And Yehudim means, the Gemara says, whoever denies idol worshiping. So if they would have given up and worshipped idols, nothing would have happened to them. The Medrash says, it never even entered a foreign thought, God forbid, to give in to Haman. None, not one. Besides that, they had Mesiras Nefesh. To the extent Kihil is Berabim. May Mordechai gathered publicly the Jews limited Mesiras Nefesh. So he says that's the uniqueness of Purim over Matan Torah. Yes, level-wise, the Jews were much greater by Matan Torah than they were by Purim. Matan Torah the ultimate high, Purim is the ultimate low. Nevertheless, the uniqueness of Purim was Mesiras Nefesh. And Mesiras Nefesh brings out a deeper kasis, brings out the level of ma'or. Mesiras Nefesh brings out a deeper level within the Yid, the essence of the Jew, which taps into the essence of Hashem. By Matan Torah, they didn't have that level. They saw godliness, they saw miracles, they saw the revelation of Matan Torah. So it was not any level of Mesiras Nefesh. And that advantage of Mesiras Nefesh Purim had that Matan Torah didn't have. Now, okay, bottom line, again, very simple. Question is, why wouldn't they, Matan Torah is greater than Purim? The answer is no, Purim is greater because of Mesiras Nefesh. Who awakened within them this level of Mesiras Nefesh? Mesiras Nefesh Shalahem, awakening their Mesiras Nefesh, was Yehudi. Who awakened the Mesiras Nefesh within the Jews? Mordechai Tzaddik did it. The Moshe Rabbeinu of his generation. That's what the pasuk means. Except that what they began, the Matan Torah, he said, Matan Torah was only the beginning because they didn't have Mesiras Nefesh. Why? Not only potential Mesiras Nefesh, they had actual Mesiras Nefesh. In this respect, because obviously Matan Torah at certain levels is greater than Purim. But in this level, they reach the Madrega Nailis Yosef to even a higher level in the aspect of Mesiras Nefesh than it was by Matan Torah. Therefore, they finalized the acceptance of Torah. And that's the uniqueness of Purim. And this explains another aspect, really. We know that Arizal writes that Purim is greater even than Yom Kippurim. The holiest day of the year is Yom Kippur. Yeah? That Arizal explains that in a certain respect, Purim is even greater than Yom Kippur. Why? Because Yom Kippurim is called Kippurim. Kippurim. Like Purim. If you say A is like B, that means B is greater and A is similar to B. That means Purim is even greater. It's even greater than Yom Kippurim. Now what happened on Yom Kippurim? The Jews accepted the second luchis. which is even greater than Matan Torah. Why? Matan Torah, the Jews were on the level of tzaddikim. They got the luchis as tzaddikim. Yom Kippurim is after the Egel when they did tshuva. Yom Kippur is the concept of tshuva, right? So Yom Kippur is greater than Shavuos because it's the higher level of tshuva. And yet Yom Purim is even greater than Kippurim. Why? Because of Mesiras Nefesh. Now it's not only tshuva, Purim is the uniqueness of Mesiras Nefesh, of Golus, which is even greater than Yom Kippurim when they got the second luchos.
They have a level of Yechida in Purim?
Yeah, that's why Purim in the Megillah, there is no mention of God's name, because it's higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei. Remember, like Yom Kippurim, it says Lifnei Hashem, higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei, the Rebbe explains, right? It's 5 tefillas. Normally we have 3 davening, which is Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Shabbos, Yom Tov, we have Musaf, which is Chaya. Yom Kippur is 5 tefillas, the level of Yechida.
But he was asking about Purim.
One time, not done. So Purim is Yom Kippurim is a level Lifnei Havaya. Kibiyam Azay Yechaper Aleichem doesn't say Yechaper Hashem Aleichem. So we learned in the Kutotera, the reason for that is because Tshuva comes, Yom Kippur is higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Kei Vav Kei is 4 letters corresponding with Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya. Yechida is nameless. It's not a name, it's the essence, Aneichi, Ata, it's the essence. Right? So Yom Kippur reaches the essence of Hashem higher than Yud Kei Vav Kei, correct? In the Megillah there is no mention of Hashem's name. So without Chassidus, the explanation is because they didn't want that it should become it's going to be was become the Malchim Adei Aperes was a history book, like it says at the end of the Megillah. And if it would say Hashem's name, they would define it as the idol worshipping name. So therefore they left it out. Similar to the concept of Meida Ani, the Rebbe connects all these things together. Why can you say Meida Ani before washing your hands? So Allah says because there's no mention of God in it. Meida Ani L'fanecha, there's no mention of Hashem's name. Chassidus explains, you know why? It's Meida Ani is higher than the names. So therefore that level of impurity, there's no level of impurity in the essence of the Jew. There is no impurity. Correct? Therefore you can even say it before. So in other words, Chassidus comes along and says, you know why you could say Meida Ani before Negel Basar? Not because it's lower, there is no name. On the contrary, it's the essence which is greater than a name. Yeah? Yom Kippur is the essence of Hashem greater than a name. Purim, there's no mention of Hashem in the Megillah. Why? So Chassidus explains, because it's higher than that, it's the essence of Hashem. And that's why the mitzvah on Purim is to get drunk. In the spiritual sense, yeah? Adala Yoda, that you don't know the difference between Mordechai is blessed and Haman is cursed. Right? That means, what does that mean? Adala Yoda, meaning it's higher than Seichel. It's higher than world. Correct? That means what happens on Purim, you reach a level of Elokus that's so essence that there's no difference between good and bad. Remember we learned good and bad. In the essence of Hashem, there's good and bad is all equal. Like the pasuk says, Yaakov and Esav are brothers, and then the pasuk says, Yaakov I love and Esav I hate. That means there's a level of Elokus that they're both equal. And that's what Purim is all about. But once let me just finish one point. And therefore, what made that happen? The Mesiras Nefesh of the Jews that was awakened through Mordechai. Now what do you want? Talk to me.
Would the Jews ever reach that level without Mordechai?
No.
Therefore we need them Moshe.
That's what we need Va'ata Tetzaveh, correct.
And is that why the oil was given to Moshe and not directly to
The what?
the oil?
Well, he's not done yet. It's a long time yet.
So Rabbi, Yom Kippur is a level of Yechida, but it's 5.
Correct.
And
So is Purim.
No, Purim is higher, so that's
It's the same Nakuda. It's higher than, it's above names. How could what? Talk, I'm an old man.
How could God reach Mesirat Nefesh? At the time of Matan Torah, they had Hashem coming down.
That's why revelations contradict Mesiras Nefesh. If you see and feel God, then you don't have Mesiras Nefesh. You see it. Something you don't understand, you don't have to believe.
But you see, the essence is there.
But that's all revelations. It's not essence. The essence was revealed. So what you're seeing is Nigla Lam, the revelation of Elokus. Purim, they tapped in because there was no revelation. On the contrary, there was Golus. And especially the Golus they explained of Mordechai, which is the lowest time in Jewish history, that there was a decree against every single possible Jew. That is not revelation. And Dafka, in non-revelation, do you have the essence? Because essence can't be revealed. Yes. Okay.
With the both Yechidah, how's Purim higher than Kippur? I'm sorry, I don't want to bug you, but
The Yechidah of Moshe Rabbeinu, from one side, Yechidah of Moshe Rabbeinu is like our Yechidah, but it's still Moshe Rabbeinu's Yechidah. In other words, 9 Moshe Rabbeinus don't make a minyan, and then 10 Yukels do, right? I, Lochem Moshe Rabbeinu, is much greater than all those Yukels put together, okay? But in the level of the essence of the Jew that you count for a minyan, by whom is Yechidah more revealed? Okay.
so
Nothing. So therefore, by him it's still greater.
so Purim, that's the revelation of Yechidah.
The Yidden reveal a greater level of Moshe Rabbeinu's Yechidah than he does without the Yidden, than he has without the Yidden.
Purim over.
No, B'chlal, I'm saying.
So what makes Purim greater than Kippur?
B'sidas Nefesh.
How do you define the same That's the real.
The Friedrich Rebbe says, the expression, B'sidas Nefesh means Azay Nitandish. Get it? The Yiddish. Azay Nitandish means this is the way and it can't be any different. That this is there's nothing what to talk about. There's no explanation, there's nothing, there's no logic. This is the way it's going to be, and it's not any different.
Like when he was giving a speech in front of KGB, I know you're here.
That's this Maamar that the Rebbe is basing the Maamar on.
Avodah is higher than revelation.
What?
Avodah is higher than revelation.
What's higher, Tshuva Ma'asim Tovim in this world or Olam Haba? One's revelation, one's essence.
Revelation is
It's Geschmack.
Spike. It's ice cream, Rabbi.
Let's speak in the world of Chabad, Lubavitch. We're talking in the good days when the Rebbe was physically here, yeah? Being in Crown Heights, you had the Rebbe coming out to davening, you had Verbrengens, it was Geschmack, it was good.
Yes.
Okay. Then a guy goes to Timbuktu and Shlichus. Yeah? Not the Calais, you have everything you need, and there's, there's Yiddishkeit, and there's food, and there's mikvahs, yeah. You go to a place, you have to fly 3 hours to go to a mikvah. There's still shluchim like that today. Yeah? No chinuch. So now they have these schools, online school, which is also not the same thing as being in person. Yeah? Yes? So you have the guys in Crown Heights and the guys outside Crown Heights. Yes? To paraphrase it, Crown Heights is revelations, but where do you have the essence? Where there is no revelation, that's where you have the essence. Because when there's revelation, etzem built in is gala, the expression Chazal in Chassidus, the essence can't be revealed. Because the second you reveal him, remember I told the guy, said, explain God, he opened his mouth, he smacked him in the face, he said, the second you try explaining God, he's already not God. A revelation, by definition, is a limitation. It's a definition of how it is revealed. But the essence is not. The essence is essence. So when a Jew does Torah mitzvahs in this low, yokel world that's about to get totally destroyed, yeah, and still does a mitzvah, Hashem has more satisfaction than when they did Torah mitzvahs in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. But there is some miracles. And therefore, the Zohar in last week's Parsha, when it says Moshe was the most humble person that ever lived, the Zohar says he was most humble when he saw the generation right before Mashiach, i.e. us Yukels. He saw our generation, and he saw there were no revelations, like all he got is problems and sodas and everything, and they're still keeping Torah mitzvahs. Moshe Rabbeinu felt inferior. Does that mean we're greater than Moshe Rabbeinu? No. But we have an advantage that we have Mesiras Nefesh that he didn't have. Like Purim had Mesiras Nefesh that Matan Torah didn't have. And that's the uniqueness of our generation. When it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, intellect gets in the way. We said many times the mashal. If Hashem would tell the head, put your head in boiling hot water, mamish boiling hot, yeah? 212, boiling hot water. The head will start rationalizing. The typical Jew. He means me, probably means somebody else. Maybe I can cool off the water first. Maybe this, maybe that, maybe it doesn't mean now, maybe that. That's the way the seichel works, yeah? You see this openly by people. Give tzedakah, maybe he means somebody else, tomorrow. Yeah? The foot has no brains. The foot has no seichel. Hashem says to the foot, jump into the water. There's nothing stopping the foot from listening. Yes?
Yes.
The head, seichel, gets in the way. And feet, brainlessness, i.e., emuna, Mesiras Nefesh, has that advantage. Now, does that mean the head is higher than, the foot is higher than the head? In a certain aspect, the foot is higher than the head. Like you explained before, you want to go somewhere, you need the foot. That's why the Rebbe writes, Be'inyan zeh, we are greater than the level of Matan Torah. In Revelation, Matan Torah is infinitely greater than Purim. Like we said, it says in Chassidus, the revelation of Matan Torah is not going to be until Matan Torah. The Alter Rebbe says in the Haggadah in Tanya, U'me'ein zeh hoya b'shas Matan Torah. When he speaks about the Gilui of Mashiach, he writes, Me'ein zeh hoya b'Matan Torah. The greatest revelation in Jewish history was Matan Torah, until Mashiach, yeah? It was a very great revelation. But the advantage of Golus is in that respect that it has Mesiras Nefesh. And that Matan Torah didn't have. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have. Moshe Rabbeinu did not need Mesiras Nefesh to keep Torah mitzvahs. He saw godliness. He spoke to Kaviyachos face to face. He saw revelation. He saw miracles. He saw whatever. So he didn't take Mesiras Nefesh to do Torah mitzvahs. For us to do Torah mitzvahs, generation right before Mashiach, when the world is the way it is, it takes Mesiras Nefesh. And in that respect, Moshe Rabbeinu felt inferior, meaning in that respect, we are greater. In that respect only, we shouldn't start thinking we're greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. In that aspect, the foot is greater than the head.
Even if it's become your lifestyle and this is your comfort zone.
No, once it becomes comfort zone, it's not Mesiras Nefesh. That's the problem. Once it becomes comfort zone, it's not Mesiras Nefesh anymore.